If your clinic collections have been at the same level for the last few months or maybe even years, and you're wondering if you've hit this glass ceiling, this video is going to show you what's going on and how to fix it. Because I totally understand, you're probably feeling like you're working harder than ever, and maybe you've adopted the belief of, man, this is just as good as I get, or maybe I'm just not good enough for the next level. And I can tell you that this plateau that you're currently on right now, it's not permanent, and it doesn't have to be permanent. And so let's walk through how to fix it. And so if you're new to the channel, welcome in. My name is Jeff. All we talk about on the channel is how to help natural healthcare providers reach $200,000 or more per month in their brick and mortar location. And we've worked with over 500 clinics to date, and I can tell you for certainty that what I'm about to share in this video, many of our clinics have used internally to break through again to that next level. Now, I'm not here to make any income claims. I do not believe that this video, in this video alone, over the next 20 or so minutes that we're gonna spend together, that you're gonna watch this here today and go home and reach $200,000 within a month. That is not the claim. The claim is we have worked with clinics that have exceeded those revenues. So we take the lessons in working with those partners and we bring them to you so that you have the best and most up-to-date modern patient attraction strategies. And so if you're new to the channel, welcome in. If you're a returning subscriber, we appreciate you being here yet again with us. We've got another value-dense video for you here today. So the first thing in understanding why your business's revenue is plateaued is identifying if it is one of two main constraints. There are only two constraints that hold back a business at any point in time. Number one is a sales constraint. That means that you are just not selling enough new customers on a monthly basis to actually grow the business. You have the staff and the availability and you can support more business, you're just not getting the new sales. The second type of constraint is a capacity constraint. That means that even if you get new sales and new patients in the business, your business cannot grow because you cannot physically support their business. Now, most offices that are watching, you're more than likely gonna have a sales constraint. That is most common. If you have a capacity constraint, you will just feel like you're busting at the seams and you need more physical space, more providers, so on and so forth. For the most part, capacity constraints are short-term. Sales constraints happen all the time. And so there's three scenarios that every clinic owner can find themselves in or shuffling from time to time. Scenario number one is that your sales is exceeding your capacity, okay? That means you're selling more people than the businesses can support, and that typically results in poor client and patient experiences, maybe even refunds, and ultimately just a lot of churn. The second scenario is that your capacity is greater than your sales. That means that you have a bloated overhead and that your monthly nut is high and the sales revenue is low. So what's happening is that you might have poor margins, you might be bleeding money, and honestly, when the capacity exceeds sales for too long, that can result in very quick death for a business. And the final scenario is that your sales and your capacity is about equal. You're hitting the same rough revenue every single month. You're like, man, we just can't seem to break past $60,000. We're always in between like that 55 and 62, but we just can't break past that $65. You know what I mean? So that's a holding pattern. That's when your sales is equal to your capacity. Now, out of all the three scenarios, that last scenario where your capacity is equal to your sales, that's actually the most dangerous. Because while this stage might feel safe, it's actually a trap. And what happens is when you're equal, you have to take a risk. You have to either take a risk to try to sell more people, or you have to take a risk to try to increase your capacity, right? And you have to be very aware on what you need to do. And most clinic owners, they get uncomfortable when having to invest outside of their comfort zone, which is why their growth stalls. Now that we've identified the two constraints, capacity and sales, let's talk about how to overcome these constraints. I'm actually going to give you two different models that we're going to use here today, okay? The first model is what's called test, build, accelerate. Now, this is a philosophy that Amazon adopted. So they have ingrained in their culture to always be testing and innovating, especially when it's in benefit to the consumer, okay? So effectively what this means is that we're going to follow a series of 3 steps. Okay, the first step is to test. Testing means that we are going to, based on market demand, based on what our current patients are, is working for our current patients, we're going to basically say, okay, we're going to add a new initiative to our business as a test to see if it produces upside. And if it does produce upside, then we're going to build the systems, people, and processes around it, and then we'll accelerate it with capital. So let me give you a few examples as related to capacity and sales when it comes to testing. Some things you may test in terms of capacity. You may test expanding your available hours. Let's say you go from 3.5 days a week to 5 days a week. You may test hiring additional providers so that you can increase the amount of hours you're seeing patients. You might add physical space. If you're at a constraint where there's so many people in your waiting room and the business is just busting at the seams, maybe you actually add square footage. Possibly even you hire an executive assistant. Now you might be thinking, now how is that capacity? Well, if you hire someone who comes in and does a lot of the activities that you normally do and takes those off your plate, naturally, you as the provider buy back more capacity. Now, when it comes to sales, here's a few other things that you could test. If you've identified that sales is your constraint, we need to sell more new patients on our care, here's what we can consider. We could add a different niche. Why don't we cross-sell to all of our existing patients? That's one of the lowest costs of acquisition. We could test a new traffic source. Possibly you're running ads on Meta. Why don't you add Google? Maybe we can consider adding TikTok. We could create a new product. So instead of just serving patients with adjustments, physical therapy, and other modalities within the business, why don't we add a whole course on nutrition? Because we know that a lot of our patients struggle with their metabolic health. We could also, from a sales side, create more referral partnerships with local businesses, a more B2B strategy. So the testing stage is all about trying something new. You're gonna try a new initiative that's not proven to work, but based on your calculated data, has a high probability of being successful. Now, after you test something and it has signs of life, it starts to prove to work, then you can go into the next phase of building. Building is where you create systems and processes to standardize that new test that has signs of life. And so the order of operations here is critical. The testing phase should be much less capital intensive in terms of a monetary standpoint and a labor standpoint. But then once it works, you can add in the systems followed by the people to actually execute that new test at scale. That leads into the accelerate portion where you'll actually put capital into that activity. So let me give you an example. Let's say that you're running Meta ads and you want to try Google. Well, let's test Google. Let's put a small budget into Google. Let's run it for 30 to 60 days. And then let's test to see how it worked. What did the statistics look like? Okay? If after 30 to 60 days you're seeing great signs of life and you're already getting a profitable return, that shows that you need to go into build. You need to standardize it, okay? You need to put more systems and procedures that are gonna bring that in as a normal everyday action for the business. And then finally, you can accelerate it. You can take your budget and you can quadruple it. You could spend a lot more money to accelerate the results you're getting from your Google. Now, the same would be true with a different provider. Let's say you're gonna test hiring an associate. We don't know if that's gonna work yet. We have no idea. Now, the same can be true with capacity. You could test hiring a new associate. If they're successful and it does well for the business, then add processes around them and then spend more money on your marketing to grow their business, right? Now, again, if you test hiring an associate and they drop the ball, then it's like, okay, well, we're not gonna spend a ton more money on marketing because they clearly have proven that they can't support the current structure. So everything is a process of iteration. How do we take calculated and smaller level risks that are likely to return, and then when they do return, we'll put gas on it? Now, to be clear, one of the biggest things that we help our partners with is clarity, okay? There's so many actions that a business owner can take on a daily basis. In fact, there's 1,000 or more activities that we could do on a daily basis to grow the business, but only this amount, this percentage, will actually contribute to business growth. So if right now you're not even 100% sure what to do next and you're feeling like you're at like a growth plateau, I'll put a link below in the show notes. Just book a call with us, okay? And I'm not saying book a call because we're gonna just try to sell you something. We're actually gonna give you clarity on what to do next, okay? So the biggest thing that we help with on our initial calls with people is putting a 3 to 5 step game plan together to figure out, number one, can we even help you? And number two, if we can't help you, here's what you need to go and do in order for us to possibly accept you as a partner. So again, if you have no clarity on what to do right now, go to the show notes immediately and book a call. No matter what, you'll leave with a game plan and clarity on what matters most for your business right now. Because I can't share all the ins and outs on YouTube. I don't know your direct situation, okay? So book a call and we're happy to help. Now, the next model that we're gonna cover here today in getting past your growth plateau is what's called amplifications and additions. Now, Grant Cardone, I know he's a very polarizing figure, but he's been very successful, to be clear. And he always says, repeat successful actions. So the goal of the amplification and addition strategy is to amplify things that are working and add in new things that are untested, okay? So I like to actually look at this model first because more than likely, if you're watching this video, you have some stuff in your practice that's already working. You have patient attraction sources that are working, you have sales models that are working, you have retention models that are already profitable, right? There's something that's working, okay? So now your question is, what out of all the things that are working, what are the things that we can amplify, okay? Again, if we know that a certain traffic source like Meta, let's say, is producing a lot of lead flow to our practice, then how can we amplify it, okay? Amplification looks like this. We could spend more money on ads. We could be more obsessive over our lead follow-up procedures to get more juice from that fruit. We could be more meticulous about how fast we ask the cold leads that come in to refer a friend or family member, right? That would be ways to amplify, to take something that's existing and already working and just do it at a higher level. Other ways you can amplify, if you're sending out an email once a month, maybe even once a week, what's stopping you from going once a day? Why can't we just increase the frequency of email if we're already seeing results? We could also improve our referral systems. Like if we know that we're systematically getting 8 to 10 referrals a month, and they're some of our best patients, can we amplify that? One way we can amplify referrals, we could put together a monthly dinner of all the patients that signed up over the last month as part of their care protocol. They have to come to a dinner, and guess what? A lot of them are going to bring their significant other or possibly even a friend, okay? That is how we could amplify what's working. We know we can convert referrals. How do we amplify and get more of them? Now, when it comes to amplifications, there is one limiting belief, and that is the magic channel. So when I first got started, okay, like I'm talking, we're doing like, $5,000, maybe $10,000 a month, okay? My initial viewpoint in business was that I can use one channel that will scale us up in perpetuity, okay? I'll be able to scale my Facebook ads in perpetuity or Google or referrals. It was like this one channel kind of myth that I told myself, okay? And what I found to be true is every channel, especially for a brick and mortar facility, it has a cap. You can only spend so much before you start bleeding money. So the goal is the following. You want to look at what's working. Let's use Meta. Say Meta's working for you. Amplify the hell out of it, okay? Do more, spend more, have better follow-up, okay? And just keep amplifying until you reach a point of blood loss. And at that point, consider yourself, at least for the time being, stabilized in a very profitable channel, and we're maxing it. And then we're gonna go to the next level, which I'm gonna talk about, which is the addition. That's when I would go in to actually add new things. So additions are unproven actions that we need to see if they work long term. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna actually look at what are the unproven things that have, again, a high probability of working. These are the additions. And then how can we add those to the business? Now, typically, from an initiative standpoint, unless you have a lot of labor and you have a lot of like human capital in terms of leverage, it's usually most effective to choose 1, maybe 2 initiatives per month that you're gonna add to your arsenal, okay? So what you do is you amplify what's working, and then you add in 1 to 2 unproven things. And then if, let's say you add in 2 things, one of them really works and then one of them doesn't work so well, then you take the one that worked really, really well and you add it back into the business. You add that to your list of proven actions. So the goal is like once a month, you pick up a new action that your team can repeat month over month that adds to your list of things that are already working. So here are some additional examples that you could consider. You could start having B2B relationships. Maybe you hire somebody to do outbound to call on local businesses to see if you can set up lunch and learns, to see if you can set up screenings. A lot of people think that just because we help with the digital side that we don't want our providers doing like the in-person stuff. That's far not true. Anyone that's been part of our program, you guys know that we highly encourage you to do more things besides what we provide. So you could do dinner with the doc, we talked about that. You could do community partnerships, you could do workshops, you could do speaking engagements. Again, you could try different traffic sources like Google and Meta, right? So just thinking about things that like you've seen other people in the industry have success with, okay? Because if one person in your industry can have success with it, there is a high degree of certainty that you can also see success with it. So again, some best practices for the additions. Try to do 1, maybe 2 a month. Sort them by easiest to implement from hardest to implement. And then you're gonna make sure that you're actually executing correctly. And then last but not least, just make sure you measure, okay? Make sure you measure the addition, the statistics. You wanna track everything meticulously during the addition and testing phase because you need to know if it works. Okay, so here's what to do next. We talked about two models, test, build, accelerate, and amplification and addition. If you're not 100% sure which one of these to do, and by the way, the models are pretty similar, it's just a matter of kind of where you're at in your business. If you're not sure what to do next, start with the second model, which is amplifications and additions, because you probably have something that's already working. And that I find is the lowest hanging fruit for you to just amplify something to get the fastest revenue growth. Remember to avoid the pitfalls of common mistakes of testing too much stuff at once, not measuring the results quick enough, and giving up too early on things that really are showing signs of life. So here's the bottom line today, folks. The plateau that you're in right now is not permanent. You're just in a holding pattern, and you have to break something. You have to add something else to prove to work, or you have to amplify something that's gonna take you to the next level. So start testing, start building on the things that work, start amplifying things that have already proven to produce revenue, and you're naturally gonna start to break through that plateau, okay? Because you are in a season of stagnation. You are not identified as stagnation. That's not part of you, okay? Human beings are meant to grow all the time, all right? So if you're plateauing right now, use some of these ideas. Look around, be aware. What are some of your underutilized assets in your business? What are some underutilized traffic sources? Do you have a big lead list that you're not emailing once a week, right? Like there's always these hidden gems within businesses. You just have to go out and find them and just be creative, okay? So if you got value, first of all, I'm glad. Second of all, please hit subscribe. We are putting out videos twice a week on this channel, Wednesdays and Sundays. Okay, they're coming out every Wednesday and Sunday. It's just like a TV show for us around here, okay? So make sure you subscribe, hit the bell, you'll be notified when we produce new content. Additionally, if you wanna talk deeper about some strategic ideas in your clinic, I would encourage you to just check out the link below, okay? On the next page, there's a lot of testimonials, people we've done this for, but the most important part is not the testimonials. It's that when you take a call with us, we're gonna be honest with you, okay? If we can help you, we'll let you know what that looks like. If we can't, we will still send you on your way with more actionable stuff that you've learned, like such as what you've learned today in this video. Okay, we don't sugarcoat it. We want you to actually get results. So even if we can't help you, we'll still give you an idea on what to do next to ensure that your growth plateau is broken, okay? Because things that don't grow are naturally gonna die. And the last thing I want for you is to just get burned out doing what you do because you feel like your actions are going to waste and the business is not growing. That's the most frustrating point that a business owner can be in, is a place of stagnation for months, even years on end. So if you got value, hit subscribe. We're posting these videos, again, twice a week. Otherwise, feel free to book a call. I look forward to seeing you guys in the next video. Until then, talk soon.